So the very rainbowy art that I have on the feed, it's a photo that I edited at what's called the Maharishi Vedic Observatory. It's these instruments that are used to measure the positioning of the planets, and they're down to they're very precise ancient instruments. Jyotish, the Indian Vedic form of astrology, uses the positioning of the planets, and also there's many aspects of this in terms of these ceremonies for world peace, these yagya ceremonies that are very powerful for creating a positive influence in the world. And so I was in this facility where the pundits were doing these yagyas for world peace. I was there in this pain, in complete agony, just my heart had just been like shredded. It just felt like an atomic explosion. And I, for months, it was like I kept also the effect of trauma, replaying certain things and like the coulda, shoulda, woulda, and what I wish I could have said. Anyway, it was very difficult and very painful, and I couldn't get past it. And so I'm sitting there in pain. I'm a meditation teacher, and I just remembered, oh yeah, like I can just feel what's going on in the body. This pain, I can actually just sit and feel with it. I can sit with it and feel it. And that's exactly what I did. And as I went into this pain and just allowed myself just to feel it and not judge it and just observe it, very innocently observe it and come to some acceptance. This is the thing, when we resist, we prolong the suffering. Our resistance prolongs the suffering. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, this is actually a big part of how we, shift the nervous system's response to certain circumstances and situations that are causing like continuous suffering, is that we accept, we don't resist. And I mean, that's not just NLP. This is like universal. Just how do we cope? And then when I say accept, it doesn't mean that we just like accept all suffering as just part of life and that, okay, yeah, we have to suffer, but that we don't fight. We don't have to resist or fight for darkness, okay? Anger, pain, fear, the suffering. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who's the founder of the Transcendental Meditation Program, started really simply teaching meditation with the basic idea that we don't have to suffer. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Like the nature of life is actually bliss, love. And my whole family was involved in that in the 60s and 70s. So I was raised with that idea and the techniques. I mean, not that like life was perfect. I didn't grow up meditating, but I knew of it. And this idea that life is bliss, for me, it's like it's a nice idea. And when I started really meditating regularly, it truly helped. Like I had been suffering and was quite miserable and hit a rock bottom. I had left home. I was actually like hitchhiking, traveling, and partying really, really, really hard. A lot of my friends had died of overdoses or, were pretty severe addicts or alcoholics. And I was in the Seattle area in the 90s, and a lot of heroin and opioids were used, consumed, and killed people. And now, we didn't even have things like fentanyl, which is so highly dangerous and so deadly and killing so many people. So, when I started meditating, it was a huge relief. It was so much peace, just instantly. It was just like so much peace and love just washed over me, and it totally changed my life. But there's still, I feel quite strongly that this is my own personal opinion. Not everybody agrees with me on this, but that when there is pain and when there is trauma, it is important to actually work on it and like look at it and come to, again, some form of acceptance and responsibility and peace with it, and so that we don't keep repeating the same patterns. And I have a tendency to repeat patterns and problems and issues, and And this is something I've been reviewing the footage for the series that I'm about to post with Asia and Britt. And this was something that like my spirit guides were like, you don't have to, keep doing the same things. Like you can actually make some changes, and you know what your patterns are because you've lived them over and over and over again. And when I've done 12-step recovery work, this is one of the things that, you really do look at your patterns, you identify, so you become quite familiar with the ways in which you perpetuate your own suffering through your thoughts, your action, your speech, your behavior. And, it's not always easy to make changes, but sometimes if we have really destructive tendencies, a really good thing we can do is replace them with something really beneficial. And so meditation was that for me. This was really like my path of recovery and spirituality. I'm in my late teens and most of my 20s. And, it's still a big part of my life, obviously. But so let's see. The art. That's what I was going to talk about.